Hey everybody, Dubs is back again. Another segment of Dubs Nation. We're gonna watch Nancy Pelosi literally melt, like her body melt, like she's the Wicked Witch of the West that got water on her. As Wolf Blitzer of all people peppers her rather with tough questions as to why she won't accept the now $1.8 trillion revised stimulus package from Trump and Mnuchin. Okay, as you'll remember, the Democrats put forth their HEROES Act, their beloved HEROES Act, that was $3+ trillion of boondoggle BS that was bailouts for state pensions and bailouts for lobbyists, and had marijuana provisions, and oh my God, so many different things that were not related to coronavirus, and Republicans were never going to go for it. Never, ever, ever, ever. Democrats were using it as leverage to back Republicans into a corner. Okay? They were either going to use the PR of the Republicans not accepting that deal to beat them in the election, or force them to bend over so they could shove this bill and all that insane spending for their agenda right up Republicans' asses. Thankfully, Republicans did not cave, because the HEROES Act is garbage. Okay, and it's, as usual, the media has run interference for it like crazy all day, every day. Okay, I have to argue with people on social media about the HEROES Act and what's in it, and the Republicans won't vote. Because you'll get Democrat congressmen like my own Bill Pascrell. He'll just put up some graphic that'll say 160 days since Democrats are funding the post office, 180 days since they signed, since they passed stimulus checks, 190 days since they agreed to unemployment extension. Get the hell out. And that's all people realize. That's all people see. And they just, look at that pretty graphic. They don't actually look at the 1,100-page bill to see what's in it. Okay? They don't watch the live sessions of Congress. They don't watch the live sessions in the Senate that show the interactions between the two sides. All they know is what they get from the insanely biased media. I mean, we're going to get into it a little later, guys. We're going to get into the media and how much crazy, and there's no limit now. There's no limit to their bias. But every once in a while, you'll see a glimmer of hope, a glimmer of journalistic integrity, and it'll surprise us. And this one from Wolf Blitzer surprised me. But I got to argue with people, like I was saying, about how Republicans, though they were not agreeing on the HEROES Act and all the other crap, they did agree to a coronavirus relief only bill. Anytime a bill doesn't have things attached to it, those things, when there's one bill, say coronavirus relief bill, okay, that's the main aspect of the bill. But there's always other little things attached, hanging on it, like those little fish that suck themselves to sharks. You know what I mean? Those little, and they eat the scraps the sharks don't eat. You know what I mean? The scraps that get ripped apart and they pick at it. That's called pork. These politicians add pork to these bills, extra crap that we don't need. So Republicans said, listen, we'll do, and when you don't have pork in a bill, that's called a clean bill, okay? So Republicans said, we're going to do a clean coronavirus bill. We're going to do a clean unemployment extension. Senators McSally and Collins and Romney, a bunch of Senators, McConnell even, said, let's do unemployment extension. Let's just extend unemployment for people. Let's extend the extra 600. we'll change it to 400. First they wanted 2, which Republicans, I think that was too low. Then they finally settled on 400, met in the middle. What's wrong with that? That's compromise. They said, let's just do clean unemployment extension. Democrats said, no, it's not enough. We're not even going to vote on it. We're not even going to allow a vote. We're not even going to bring it to the floor so we can debate it and make changes to it. No, not going to happen. Then, first week of September, Republicans put forth an official bill again to the Senate floor and said, hey, this is our COVID-only relief package. It's got everything in it. COVID only, though. It's got more money for PPE. It's got more money for the PPP loans. It's got more unemployment, more stimulus checks for everybody, the whole 9 yards. Coronavirus only. None of that other crap. Democrats in the Senate filibustered the bill. You know, the Senate procedural rule that is a Jim Crow relic, the filibuster that the Democrats want to get rid of, but only when they take full power. Yeah, they filibustered the COVID relief only bill the first week of September. That's a confirmed fact. Anybody that you see trying to argue that the Republicans haven't done anything for the stimulus talks or whatever, please take that information that I just gave you and shove it down their damn throat, please, because I'm so sick and tired of hearing these people. It's really infuriating how uninformed so many Americans are and how bad the media is. But let's watch some of this Pelosi interview because it is totally worth the watch, guys. It is so worth the watch because they like to say Trump is thin-skinned. My God, this woman, her face started to melt. Literally, her friggin' teeth started to fall out and her face started to melt. Because Wolf Blitzer was like, dude, take the deal. Even other people on our party are saying, take the deal. What's wrong with you? It's $1.8 trillion. Nope, can't do it because you don't know what you're talking about. Real quick, guys, please subscribe. Hit subscribe right now, please. Also, like and share. As we're going to get into with the Hunter Biden revelations in the next segment and what the hell Twitter has done, there is no way YouTube is going to be sharing content like mine and other conservatives. Definitely not my little channel. So please, I really need you to share, like, and subscribe. Thank you so much.
You know, there are Americans who are being evicted from their homes. They can't pay the rent. Many Americans are waiting in food lines for the first time in their lives. Can you look them in the eye, Madam Speaker, and explain why you don't want to accept the president's latest stimulus offer?
Well, because, thank you very much, Wolf, and I hope you'll ask the same question of the Republicans about why they don't really want to meet the needs of the American people. But let me say to those people, because all of my colleagues, we represent these people. I have for over 30 years represented my constituents. I know what their needs are. I listen to them.
Oh, really? When is the last time Nancy Pelosi has had any kind of town hall with her constituents? When is the last time she has had any kind of interaction with her constituents? Aside from mocking them with her $20,000 freezers as she's eating a pint of ice cream that costs $14. When?
Their needs are not addressed in the president's proposal. So when you say to me, why don't you accept theirs? Why don't they accept ours? Our legislation is there to do three things primarily: to honor our workers, honor our heroes, our healthcare workers, our police and fire first responders, our teachers, our transportation, sanitation, food workers, the people who make our lives work. We couldn't be doing what we're doing without.
Yeah, well, it also puts a moratorium on all deportations of illegal immigrants that are working that are essential workers. Put it that way. Essential work. It's basically everybody that has a job can't be deported now, regardless of what their criminal status is or whatever the case was. That's just one of the billion things that's in this 1,100-page bill.
Doubt them. Many of them have risked their lives so that to save lives, and now they will lose their jobs because
but
McConnell says let the states go bankrupt.
Excuse me for interrupting,
let the states go bankrupt.
Madam Speaker, but they really need the money right now, and even members of
I
your own.
understand that, but
even members of your own caucus. Even members of your own caucus, Madam Speaker, want to accept this deal. $1.8 trillion. Congressman Ro Khanna, for example. Well, let me just quote Ro Khanna, a man you know well. I assume you admire him. He's a Democrat. And he just said this. He said, people in need can't wait until February. $1.8 trillion is significant and more than twice the Obama stimulus. Make a deal. Put the ball in McConnell court. So what do you say to Ro Khanna?
What I say to you is, I don't know why you're always an apologist, and many of your colleagues apologists for the Republican position. Ro Khanna, that's nice.
What? CNN is an apologist for the Republican position. Do you want to talk about somebody that lives in a reality that is so far apart from ours? I can't think of a statement that better portrays that. What?
That isn't what we're going to do, and nobody's waiting till February. I want this very much now because people need help now. But it's no use giving them a false thing just because the president wants to put a check with his name on it in the mail, that we should not be doing all we can to help people pay the rent, put food on the table.
That's it right there. She's not making any sense, and Wolf knows it, and that he's not standing for it. Obviously, something touched a nerve with him. Maybe he knows somebody that's really hurting. It's funny how liberals all of a sudden they get tough with Democrats. These so-called journalists get tough with Democrats when it hurts somebody that they know. Guaranteed it's something like that. It's like a family member's business is dying, or a family member or a friend or who knows, somebody's out of work and they're really hurting now, and they're getting a little taste of our world, the blue collar or middle class world, where we live paycheck to paycheck, and we're constantly trying, getting our asses kicked, getting our teeth kicked in from people like Nancy Pelosi. She thinks it's it's just it's not exactly what I want. So they can wait. I want them to have it now, but it needs to be what I want. It can't be with president's name on it. That's just you. It doesn't take a psychic to know she refuses to allow something that's gonna come from them. It has to be something that they wrote, because in her mind, that's how you get a complete legislative win. You wrote the bill, and then you've made the other side accept what you wrote. So therefore, you are the better side. You're the winner. That helps the election too.
Table to enhance benefits, that they don't lose their jobs if they're state and local. We're talking about the consequences of a pandemic, the symptoms of a problem that the president refuses to address.
But and
that is the coronavirus.
We know the problem out there, but there are millions of Americans who have lost their jobs. They can't pay the rent. Their kids need the food.
That's right, and that's what we're trying to get done.
$1.8 trillion, and the president just tweeted, stimulus, go big or go home. He wants even more right now, so why not work on a deal with him, and don't let the perfect, as they say here in Washington, be the enemy of the good.
Well, I will not let the wrong be the enemy of the right.
What's wrong with $1.8 trillion?
You know what? Do you have any idea what the difference is between the spending that they have in their bill and that we have in our bill? Do you realize that they have come back and said all these things for child tax credits and earned income tax credits and helping people who have lost their jobs are eliminated in their bill? Do you realize they pay no respect to the fact that child care is very important for people whose children cannot go to school because they're doing remote learning? And
because you want to keep them locked down and at home. You know, they don't want kids. They want kids back in school because doing remote learning is damaging to them. This is the fundamental difference between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats want you to be subservient to them. They want you to stay home, take the money that they give you, and shut up and listen to them. That's, oh my God. How this election is even friggin' close this year. How it's even close this year is beyond me. Okay? It's like 3 parts media bias and 1 part Trump shooting himself in the foot. Okay? I know that's not what everybody wants to hear, but it's the friggin' truth, guys. Okay? It's the truth. The polls are not all wrong by 15 points. We needed, like I said in the last video, State of the Union Trump mixed with his, fighter Trump, Twitter Trump. We needed a mix of that. And he gave us straight, I'm going to WWE slam you, Trump. You know what I mean? We needed a little bit more presidential Trump during a massive crisis like this. People can tolerate him being being himself when it's just, the economy. We need better economy. We need this. We need that. When there's a legit pandemic happening and people, now shit's getting crazy, they need some presidential, behavior. And he didn't give it a lot of the times in his words. His actions 1,000% did. His actions were fantastic 9 times out of 10. So, listen, just don't get yourself so psyched up that the polls are all wrong and think we got it in the bag. Let me tell you something. You better drag people that you know to the polls. You better, because I'm telling you, we're behind. I'm telling you, he's gonna need a miracle to get one of the 3 that he flipped last election.
Yet they minimize the need for child care, which is the threshold with which people, mothers and fathers, can go to work if they have that. Do you have any idea of how
That's precisely why, Madam Speaker,
short they're concerned?
That's why it's so important right now. Yesterday I spoke to Andrew Yang, who says the same thing. It's not everything you want,
but you know what?
there's a lot there.
Honest to God, you really, I can't get over it, because Andrew Yang, he's lovely. Ro Khanna, he's lovely. They are not negotiating this situation. They have no idea of the particulars. They have no idea of what the language is here. I didn't come over here to have, so you're the apologist for the Obama, excuse me, God forbid.
Madam Speaker, I'm not an apologist. I'm asking you serious questions.
You can see how freaked out she's getting by her reactions, by how much of her teeth are showing. You know what I mean? But the more of her teeth you see, the more pissed off she is. And then now she starts stumbling all over her words. You want to say Trump's thin skin? Man, look at this woman. Look at this woman. And let's be honest. Do we really need a $4 trillion stimulus package now? We just found out. Okay, and here's the big bombshell of the fucking day, or the day before, actually. The WHO comes out and says nations should under almost no circumstance lock down anymore to fight the virus, to stop the virus. Lockdowns are worse than the virus, they said. No nation should be coming out and locking down. I swear I'm in a twilight zone. I mean, we were saying this for months. We were saying this. If you came out and said lockdowns are bad, you'd get banned from YouTube and Twitter and all that. And if you went against the WHO, you would get banned. Now, the WHO reverses position, and now the WHO's position is the same thing that YouTube was just banning people the day before. Twitter, Facebook, same thing. This is why you cannot vote blue. I'm telling you. And the Republicans, if they do get power, we have to hold their feet to the fire. They have to rein these people in, man. They got to rein these social media networks. They have to rein them in.
We're in desperate need right now. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
When was the last time?
Let me respond to you.
Let me ask you, when was the last time, Madam Speaker, when was the last time you spoke with the president about this?
I don't speak to the president. Speak
Why
with
not? Why
his
not
representative.
call him? Why not call him and say, Mr. President, let's work out a deal. It's not going to be everything you want, not going to be everything I want, but there are so many Americans right now who are in desperate need. Let's make a deal.
What makes me amused, if it weren't so sad, is how you all think that you know more about the suffering of the American people than those of us who are elected by them to represent them at that table. It is unfortunate that we do not have shared values with this White House, and that they have.
No, what's sad is that this woman actually thinks she does understand the suffering of the American people in that damn mansion she lives in. This is insane. This is literally insanity. This is straight up insanity. This woman needs to be retired. That's it. That's the bottom line. Listen to what she is saying. Sitting there in front of the $20,000 fridges. I mean, come on. She thinks that she really understands the suffering and the plights of the American people.
About in their bill a tax break for the wealthiest families in the country, while they cut out the earned income tax credit for the poorest families in our country and the poorest children in our country. That we have to fight with them to get them to address the coronavirus crisis, because they have said it was a hoax, it was magical, it was a miracle. It was going to...
Fake news. Again, as usual. Trump never said it. Nobody ever said it was a hoax. Fake news. Now she's losing it completely. Now she doesn't know where to turn.
It hasn't, and that's why we find ourselves in this situation. I feel very confident about the knowledge that I bring to this, but more importantly, the knowledge that our chairs of jurisdiction, science-based, academically documented, institutionally suggested in terms of what the cost would be to do it, and to do it that way. And about we talk about child care, yes. We talk about safety in the workplace. Safety in the workplace. That's a very important issue, especially in the time of the pandemic. So what I say to those people is, we're going to get a deal. And when we do, it will be retroactive. It will be retroactive.
Here's what you wrote in a letter to House Democrats, Madam Speaker. And I ask these questions only, as you know, so many millions of Americans are suffering right now.
Well, you quote two people who know nothing about the agreement. Well, there is no agreement. But what the suggestions are, as if there's some authority on the subject. Please give equal weight to all of the chairmen on the committee who have written this bill.
But so many of your fellow Democrats in the House, they want a deal right now.
No, that isn't.
The problem solvers, they all want a deal right now.
Yeah.
And here's what they're complaining about, because you wrote a letter to House Democrats and you said this. Let me read a line from the letter you wrote. The president only wants his name on a
She's so pissed she's got to bite her lip.
And for the market to go up. Is that what this is all about? Not allow the president to take credit if there's a deal that will help millions of Americans right now?
He's not that important. But let me say this. With all due respect, and you know we've known each other a long time, you really don't know what you're talking about. If the plural of anecdote is not data. Yes, there's some people who said this or that. Overwhelmingly, my caucus wants what is right for the American people. Overwhelmingly, our chairman.
You heard it there, folks. Overwhelmingly, Democrats want you to wait. Democrats want you to wait until they get exactly what they want. They don't give a shit if they wait 3 months and you're evicted by then.
Who wrote the bill? Read their statements. They all put out their own statements when they saw what the White House was proposing. So do a service to the issue and have some level of respect for the people who have worked on these issues, written the bill to begin with. Now, let me just say this in terms of the numbers. I want people to do the math. We had 3.4, which would meet the needs of the American people for a sustained period of time, so that there was some certainty in what would happen. The Republicans said no, well, so we took it down $1 trillion by cutting the time. We took it down another $200 billion. So we're now $1.200 billion down. We came down to 2.2. At the same time, since tomorrow will be 5 months since we passed the bill, at the same time, because there was no resolution, Mitch McConnell said, let's pause. The virus didn't pause, and now we're at a place where we need more money. We need more money for PPP, for our small businesses. We need more money for our airlines. We need more money for our schools. So we have absorbed
airlines that they want to tax into oblivion.
Nearly $500 billion more of expenses still within the 2.2.
I understand all of that, and I have only the greatest respect for you.
So do the math.
Madam Speaker, I have only the greatest respect for you. I just want to point out, though, $1.8 trillion. $1.8 trillion is a lot of money. The American people need that money ASAP because they're suffering right now. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying...
And you don't care how it's spent.
I care, of course, how it's spent. But what I don't understand is why not talk to the president personally, call him up and say, Mr. President, let's get a deal tomorrow.
Look, let me say this. The president has sent Mr. Mnuchin to negotiate. That's what we've done with other presidents. This isn't unusual. With President Bush, we did this quite a bit because that's how you negotiate. And then you take it to the president. This Mr. Mnuchin, I think he has integrity representing his position. May I finish, please? But he has integrity representing his position, but his position has no integrity. They do not share our values. Have a little respect for the fact that we know something about these subjects. And there's a big difference between Democrats and Republicans in whether they want to give a big tax cut to the wealthiest people in the country in their bill, in the CARES Act. We tried to take it out in this bill. Instead, they took out earned income tax credit, child tax credit, expanded health benefits to...
This is so old. This is so old. These same old talking points. They want to give tax cuts to just the rich and make you poor people pay for it.
UI benefits to the extent that it was agreed to before. Right. So this is, I have every confidence in what and the arguments that we make because it's based on science and documentation. Our chairs know their stuff.
The science, the same science that said lockdowns last week were a good thing, but lockdowns today are just never doing.
I welcome their interest. I welcome their originality of their thinking. But the fact is, we have a responsibility to meet the needs of the American people in a retroactive way, so they're not at a total loss. They are at a loss because the president has ignored the virus. I wish you would...
You clowns that didn't even want to make a deal for when the unemployment, you let the unemployment run out. You wouldn't even extend the unemployment only while you negotiated this crap. So the president had to come and take money from FEMA just to give people unemployment a little extra unemployment. He had to take money from FEMA. He had to go and do some backwards deal through an executive order just to make it work for people. And then you still had blue state governors that refused to apply for it so their people wouldn't get it. New Jersey. When did President Trump sign that executive order? Months ago now? It was like middle of August, maybe, something like that. We're in mid-October, and I haven't gotten anything yet. Nobody has gotten anything yet in New Jersey. Same with New York. Which is still locked down, by the way.
If we did not ignore the virus, we wouldn't be in the position we're in, but we are. And let me say about that also, I hope that I'm pleased that these pharmaceutical companies are taking the responsible position to halt and hopefully then resume because we want the public to have confidence in whatever therapies or whatever vaccines come along, that they will take them. Right. And to people who say, well,
she's so happy that they halted the vaccine so it doesn't come out before the election. So happy.
No, I don't trust Trump on that. If we trust the Food and Drug Administration for what they are doing. The scientists there who've been working 24/7 for months and months and months. Excellent science. The science should call the shot, and when they do, we should all trust it.
And let's hope they get more treatments. Let's hope they get a vaccine. And Madam Speaker,
Yes.
I certainly respect you, but I also respect Ro Khanna. I respect Andrew Yang. I respect members of the Democrats who are members of the problem solvers. They want a deal because so many people right now
Well,
are
the problem
suffering.
solvers, by the way, don't have any earned income tax.
No respect for
credit
Republicans,
in
though.
their proposal either. But let's not go
It
into
doesn't-
that.
yeah,
You
we've
evidently
gone through
do
that.
not respect the chairman of the committees
I
who
re-
wrote
I
these
respect-
bills.
I respect
and
all
I
of
wish
you.
you would respect the knowledge that goes into getting meeting the needs of the American people. But again, you've been on JAG defending the administration all this time with no knowledge of the difference between our two bills, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to say that to you in
All right,
person.
Madam Speaker,
virtually.
these are incredibly difficult times right now, and we'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much for joining
we'll
us.
leave it on the vote that you are not right on this, Wolf, and I hate to say that to you, but I feel confident about it, and I feel confident about my colleagues, and I feel confidence in my chairs.
And it's not about me, it's about millions of Americans who can't put food on the table, who can't pay the rent,
And
who are
we
having
represent
trouble,
them,
who
and we
are
represent them,
Yeah.
getting
and
by
we
on
represent
these
them,
long food
and we
lines that we're
represent
seeing.
them.
I know
We
you
know
are.
them.
Oh,
We
you know them.
represent them, and we know them.
As we
We
say,
know them. We represent them.
don't let the
Yes.
perfect be the enemy of the good, as they say
It is
here in
nowhere
Washington.
near perfect.
Madam Speaker.
Always the case, but we're not even close to the good.
All right,
She
let's
can't
go
let
about
him get
this
the last
because
word.
Every day is critically important.
That was so. Oh my God, that was classic. I'll be honest. That was a classic interview. She was pure Nancy Pelosi right there, and that was so important because she really cannot stand up to the criticism because she knows that her bill is garbage. All right, guys, I'm coming back next. We're going to touch on the notorious ACB and Hunter Biden. Thanks for sticking around.